In the next video we shall talk about conditional data modification. In the first task we have to add to the database the information about such a fact that on such a date the subscriber with ID 4 had taken books with IDs 2 and 3 and he had promised to return those books on that date. But if the current date is less than that date, we have to mark these subscriptions as not returned, or we have marked them as returned otherwise. After the operation completion, these two records should appear in subscriptions table. And of course, the value of this field depends on the date you are executing your SQL query. The main idea of this task is to show that even with insert operator we may use conditions. So for MySQL we use classic insert operator for several lines. Here is our table name, here is the list of fields, and this is information about the first inserted record and the second inserted record. And inside these blocks we use case expression to compare the current date with that given one. So if the current date is less than that date, we return yes here and no otherwise. And then we use the result of this calculation as the value for this field. With Microsoft SQL Server the idea is the same. We use insert operator, we name our table here, we list our fields here, then we insert the first and the second record. Then we use case expression to compare current date with that given one. And depending on the result, we use this or this value as the real value for that field. And we repeat the same operation for the second record. For Oracle the idea is the same, the only difference is that we have to use insert all here and select one from dual here, and for each record we have to repeat the list of fields. Then in these blocks we use case expression to detect the final value for our SB is active field. In the next task we have to change all subscriptions return dates following the next rules. If a subscription is still active and the subscriber has 2 or more books taken, we have to set the return date as current date plus 2 months. But if a subscription is not active or the subscriber has less than 2 books taken, we have to set the return date as current date plus 1 month. After the operation completion, the data in subscriptions table will change. So here are the old values of SB finish field and here are the new values. The idea of this task is to show that even with update operator we may calculate some values. And as we start with MySQL, we have to take into account another fact. We have to use such a subquery to force MySQL to allow us to read and modify the same table at the same time. So this approach is not needed in Microsoft SQL Server and Oracle, but absolutely necessary for MySQL. Then for each subscription we calculate if the first condition is true or the second one is true. Based on this information we add either 2 or 1 month to the SB finish initial value. And then we use the result as the new value for this SB finish field. Microsoft SQL Server allows us to read and modify the same table at the same time, that's why we don't need that subquery here. We just have to determine for each subscription if the first or the second condition is true for it. Using this information we either add 2 months or 1 month to the initial value of SB finish field. And then we use the result of that addition as a new value for this field. And the solution for Oracle is exactly the same. We just have to detect if this or this condition is true for each subscription. Then we have to add either 2 or 1 month to the initial value of this field. And then we use the result as the new value for this field. And in the final task here, we have to update all subscribers' names, adding such a suffix to their names. And this n is the number of active subscriptions for each subscriber. But we also have to add another suffix according to the next rules. If a subscriber has more than 5 books taken, we have to add such suffix. Or if a subscriber has from 3 to 5 books, we have to add such suffix. And otherwise we have to add such suffix. After the operation completion, the data in subscribers table will look like this. But please notice that the result may vary depending on whether you perform this operation on the initial dataset or on the modified one by previous tasks. Let's start with MySQL. Here in this subquery, we calculate for each subscriber how many books does he have now. Then we are using the information about books quantity to generate this final suffix. So this part produces this result. And then we only have to use this result and add it to the initial value of a subscriber's name. With Microsoft SQL Server, we use common table expression approach here. This common table expression produces such data for us. Then in the main query part we use that data to define the new value for each subscriber's name in each condition. And for Oracle we use yet another approach. Here we see a subquery as a data source, and this subquery produces the following data. Then in this part we use the data produced by this subquery to detect the final value for our sname field. Also, please pay attention that in Oracle we have to use such operator for strings concatenation. That's because in this DBMS the concat function may operate 2 arguments only, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 strings to concatenate.